On today's episode, Olivia Patterson ran 50 miles at virtual World's Toughest Mudder in her hallway. This is the World's Toughest Podcast. Welcome to the World's Toughest Podcast, where we talk about any obstacle course race you'd like, as long as that's World's Toughest Mudder. Each week we talk to members of the WTM community and share stories of success and failure in the single greatest event in OCR. My name is Will Hicks, and this is the World's Toughest Podcast. Welcome back to World's Toughest Podcast. Thank you for listening. My name is Will Hicks. You are listening to the number one rated obstacle course racing podcast in the world. Because of listeners like you, thank you for liking and reviewing the show on Apple Podcasts and subscribing. If this is your first time listening, be sure to subscribe. All the cool kids are doing it. So this past weekend was supposed to be World's Toughest Mudder. And obviously it wasn't because of everything. But there still was virtual World's Toughest Mudder. We're going to talk about in a minute. Or World's Toughest Mudder Lockdown Edition. Also what we're calling it. But it kind of left a hole in the calendar, right? Usually this time of year, even right now, today is Tuesday as I'm recording this intro, I am flying back from wherever World's Toughest Mudder is. You can text me at 619-485-2726 to join our text group. Get new heads up on new episodes, big OCR news, and related cool stuff. I won't text you more than once or twice a week. I promise. Hey, let's talk some news. Virtual World's Toughest Mudder. World's Toughest Mudder Lockdown Edition was this past weekend. Took place on the actual day that World's Toughest Mudder was scheduled for, which was on Saturday. And I know a virtual race is not the same as getting together as a community, and there's literally no way to replicate virtually the experience, the whole weekend of World's Toughest Mudder, the whole week of World's Toughest Mudder. It can be done. World's Toughest Mudder is the single greatest event in OCR. I have said that for years, and it makes me happy when I hear other people say it too and agree with me. And there's always been a conversation or a discussion like, what's the best weekend in OCR? Is it World's Toughest Mudder? Is it the Spartan Race World Championships? Is it the OCR World Championships? Is it something else? And I will accept arguments. I'll listen to them, right? Different people have different opinions. It's not a stone hard fact, but I firmly believe, in my opinion, World's Toughest Mudder, single greatest event in OCR. Even if you don't want to run all 24 hours, if you love OCR, you need to make it to World's Toughest Mudder at least once in your life, in your OCR career. You can pit for a friend. You don't have to run the whole time. 24 hours is a long time to run. Your body is not designed for it. No one's body is. I get that. But you don't have to run. You can pit. You can volunteer at an obstacle. You can sign up, run a few laps, take a nap, run a few more laps, and then hang out at the finish line to congratulate people as they come in. There was no World's Toughest Mudder this year, and it was a huge loss. But we, as a community, I personally am already looking forward to next year in Laughlin, Nevada. November 13th through 14th. You should get your tickets now. toughmudder.com. Get everything now. World's Toughest Mudder tickets, I just checked. They are $439 right now. They will not be cheaper than that. I think I paid $500 or $495 my first year when I ran World's Toughest, and that was 5 years ago. So, and in fact, not just your World's Toughest Mudder ticket, but you should get your hotel rooms. You should get your plane tickets. Once that vaccine comes out that they're talking about, prices are going to go back to normal, like super fast, or maybe even higher than normal, because people are going to want to get out and to go do something and to get out of town. So make your reservations now. Go to toughmudder.com and buy your World's Toughest Mudder 21 ticket. And then text me to let me know. I will see you next year. 619-485-2726. Another reason to make sure you're in Laughlin this year. Every single time World's Toughest Mudder has gone to a new venue, something crazy happens. The first year of World's Toughest Mudder, 2011, in Englishtown, they were breaking ice so that they could jump into the water obstacles. When the 24 hours was over, there was like 10 people left on course. The first year in Vegas, 2014, was the year of the sandstorm. Giant obstacles. King of the Swingers was being toppled over during the middle of the race. The finish line arch was gone, blown away. Hundreds of pit tents blown away, never to be seen again. In Atlanta, the first year, 2018. 2018 was the ice storm. Go find pictures of that. Ice everywhere and on everything, coating it. They had to shut down a third of the obstacles overnight because they were dangerous. Wetsuits. People were hanging out their people would come in, be cold, hang their wetsuits out to dry while they were trying to get warm. And their wetsuits would freeze solid outside their tents. In 2020, they said, let's go to Dallas. And okay, global pandemic and virtual World's Toughest Mudder. So 2021, Laughlin, Nevada. Something's going to happen. I don't know what it is, but it's going to be something. It could be a sandstorm. It could be giant spiders and snakes. It could be something no one has even thought of yet. And I don't know what it is, but it's gonna be something. Virtual World's Toughest Mudder this weekend. I ran it with about 650 other people around the world, Saturday and Sunday. I ran 50 miles, felt good about it. Okay, I didn't run 50 miles. I completed 50 miles. I ran a trail 50 miler earlier this year before the world blew up. And it was hard, but this weekend I ran the whole 50 miles. I keep saying I ran 50 miles. I'm probably going to keep saying that. You and I know the truth. I did the whole 50 miles on pavement this weekend. It was much, much harder. My feet were getting torn up with blisters after just 15 or 20 miles. Way, way harder on pavement than on trails. I didn't think about the trail versus pavement thing when I was planning my 5-mile route. So that is a lesson I now know, but it is a lesson I hope I never have to use. Also, it's not just me, when you hear someone say they ran 50 miles, 99 times out of 100, they did not run 50 miles. They did 50 miles. And there is no shame in that game. I'm not criticizing because if you need to hobble it in, I hobbled it in. Seriously, at the end of World's Toughest Mudder, when you come across that finish line and you are just beat up and you feel like you can't do any more, that is the best feeling in the world. I still remember my very first World's Toughest Mudder, 2015, at the start line. Sean Corvell is giving his I don't want to call it a speech, but just, kind of giving us his message before we go out there and take on the course. And he says, this is World's Toughest Mudder. You don't finish at the finish line. You finish out there, and then you get to the finish line. And it gave me chills then, and it gives me chills now. Like, the whole point of it is to leave it all out there on the course. Like, the whole point is to be, Alison Ty told me once, like, you don't want to have anything left in the tank when you're done. Like, if you're all energetic carrying your bags back to the car, then you did not do it right. You are there to get as many miles as fast as you can, as long as you can at World's Toughest Mudder. And when you have just given it everything and you are physically spent and you are exhausted and you still manage to finish that last lap, it is the greatest feeling in the world. Your podium winners for World's Toughest Mudder Lockdown are, for the men, in first place, Matthew Hansen with 110 miles. In second place, Joe Zack with 100 miles. And in third, Joe Perry with 100 miles. Joe Perry is a well-known member of the community. He's the guy, you might know him from the face paint that he and his wife do on his face. Very creative. He painted a mask on himself for this race. And the podium for the women: in first, Natasha McCracken with 90 miles. In second, Louise Markham with 85 miles. And in third, Samantha Mason-New with 85 miles. Obviously, WTM Lockdown is a whole different animal than a traditional World's Toughest Mudder, but it is kind of interesting. Matthew Hansen ran 110 miles to win for the men, and Natasha McCracken ran 90 miles to win for the women. The all-time records for mileage at a single World's Toughest Mudder is 110 miles for the men, held by Ryan Atkins, and 90 miles for the women, held by Amelia Boone and Rhea Coble. We're going to have a full review roundtable discussion of World's Toughest Mudder Lockdown Edition later this week. Stay tuned to the OCR Report and World's Toughest Podcast socials for more information on that. I will also text you, give you the heads up if you're in my text group, 619-485-2726 to join. Let's read some iTunes reviews.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars. 5 stars.
Our first review comes from the World's Toughest Mudder Lockdown Edition Zoom call. Jennifer Hollinsworth, with commentary by Carlo Piscatello, says...
5 stars. Hashtag
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
Oh, you just made his night. You guys just made his night. That's so great. That was a genuine.
You guys seriously don't like the first time someone that said it to me on course, like it like lifted me for the next like 5 miles. It was crazy.
That's
It's,
so
Do you
great.
remember the
I
picture?
saw it in your face.
Thank you, Jennifer. Jennifer and I got a picture together at the bottom of Mudderhorn in 2018 in Atlanta. She was getting a good picture, and I stuck my head in it. It still turned out all right. Jennifer, send me a copy of that picture if you still have it. I'll share it on our socials. Someone once asked me, do you ever get sick of hearing 5 stars when you're out on a course? What'll happen a lot, we run on a course, I have my bib on, my name on the back, and someone recognizes it, and as they're passing me, because I'm slow, they're like, 5 stars, love the show, or something like that. And it happens a lot. So people ask me, you get sick of that when you're running around? And the answer is no. Absolutely not. Are you kidding me? Thank you for the 5 stars. If you would like to leave a review for the show, open the Purple Podcast app on your phone, search for World's Toughest Podcast, click our logo, and then scroll down to click Write a Review. If you do not use Apple devices, go to lovethepodcast.com/tough. Leave a review, and I will read it on a future episode. Thank you. There are literally 24 hours of that Zoom call you can watch and just kind of, like maybe you're doing dishes or doing laundry, you just want to kind of get in a Tough Mudder vibe. Just put it on there and listen. It's I enjoy it. Like after I was done with the race, we put it up on the OCR Report YouTube page, and I watched Carlo interview Amelia Boone for an hour. I didn't even know Amelia Boone made it to the onto the Zoom. I heard she was coming. I heard, hey, Amelia's going to be on the show. But it was great. Like I got to watch Amelia Boone for an hour. I didn't even know it was there. So you can find links to that at the OCR Report YouTube page, and you can watch Amelia, you can watch whatever you want, but it's cool just to, you're folding some laundry and you want to get in a Tough Mudder frame of mind, put that on. Special thanks to Jason Dupree for setting that up for us, recording it, uploading it, making it available. And also thanks to Tough Mudder for permission to rebroadcast the stream. Today's guest is fun. She is from Scotland. She ran World's Toughest Mudder Lockdown Edition while under quarantine due to COVID tracking and tracing. She wasn't able to leave her house. So she ran the 24 hours down her hallway and back. She ran 50 miles, 8.5 feet at a time. It's time to talk with Olivia Patterson. Let's go to the phones. Olivia Patterson ran 50 miles at virtual World's Toughest Mudder this weekend, and she was the only one to do it in her apartment hallway. Olivia Patterson, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So you and I are talking on Monday. On Saturday, you ran 50 miles. How do you feel?
My feet aren't too happy with me, but I'm well chuffed with it.
So you ran 50 miles in your apartment hallway. I guess the first question is, why?
So last week, or the week before last week, my mum tested positive for COVID, and I'm a really bad adult, so I don't make my own dinners, so I go around and collect them from her. So I got a track and trace text, and I had to isolate in my house. So I had no other options.
So track and trace test, you're basically you're self-quarantining. You don't know if you have COVID or not, but just to be safe, you have to stay in your apartment is it for 2 weeks or for 10 days?
Yeah, 14 days, so 2 weeks.
So because of that, you couldn't go out and run the 5 miles around your house. Is that right?
Yeah, so I was supposed to be going with a group just outside Livingston and doing it there. But I obviously couldn't do that anymore because that would put all of them at risk.
So tell me, what was your route for every 5 mile lap? What did you do?
Face the hallway.
How long is your hallway?
My neighbour's pastry. It's like 8.5 foot. So I'd tried to work it out beforehand, and I don't know if my calculations were correct, but I'd measured it and calculated it, and I think it was about 1,010 laps per 5 miles.
1,010 laps of your hallway equals 1 5 mile loop.
Yeah.
And you did 10 laps for 50 miles.
Yep.
So you went up and down your hallway 50,000 times?
Probably, yeah.
Is it carpet? Is it tile? What are you walking on?
So my hallway is carpeted, and the little bit of living room I had is like laminate flooring. So it's a bit of both.
Is there any visible wear on it? Did you kind of put a track into it?
Oh, there's 1,000 little steps right in the middle of the carpet, and there's some just out because at points I was really delirious when it was getting to the end, so I was banging wall to wall as I'm running down the hallway. But there's a very defined part in the middle of the carpet where I was running.
Do you have neighbors?
Yeah, I'm the top floor flat.
So this is the apartment right outside, so you weren't going downstairs or anything?
No, so I'm in top flat, it's just one level, but I've got obviously 2 lots of people below me. So I was waiting the entire night for someone to come knock on the door and be like, can you stop whatever it is that you're doing, you crazy woman?
Were you making noise, or were you just trying to keep it quiet 3 a.m?
I was trying to keep it quiet. So obviously we'd started at 6 p.m. here. So when it got to about 10 p.m, I was like, oh, this is quite bad. I feel really bad for my neighbours because I've just moved in. I've not even met half of them yet. So I took my shoes off and I was running in bare feet. And that was the worst idea I had. It was so bad.
Why was that a bad idea?
Oh, it hit different. I think my feet were worse. I think that's what gave me the blisters, to be honest. Well, it could have been that, or that I went into fluffy socks after that.
Did it hurt more, the being barefoot with the carpet, or it didn't cushion it?
The carpet was fine. I think it was actually the flooring that was worse, but I think as well, because when you don't run with like your shoes on, you hit the ground differently, if that makes sense. Like when you run with trainers, it's kind of, you land on your heel to toe. But when you don't run with trainers, you land like on the ball of your foot first. So it was more the slapping on the ball of my foot that just kind of killed me.
Running 8.5 feet is set. I mean, that's like 2 strides. Like that's a short run. You're going to hit the wall. You turn around, you run 2 steps, you hit the wall again.
Yeah.
There was one part of the 8th lap of the course was, for most people, it was a change. It was, instead of doing your usual 5-mile loop, you had to do 1,000 feet or 300 meters back and forth, back and forth. Were you able to mix it up at all for that lap?
No. And as I've seen so many people saying like that, like lap 8 was like their worst one. It was worse than the baby shark lap. And I was like, lap 8 was no different for me. I didn't have 300 feet to change it.
Lap 8 was for me the worst. Like lap 8, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to finish this. Like I might have finished with 35 miles because I was falling asleep. It was so monotonous going back and forth. How did you deal with the monotony?
I think, see, the Zoom call, that was what kept me going. Like, I had it on my iPad sitting on the couch the entire night. And, like, don't get me wrong, the conversations were crazy. We were talking about tea at one point and how to make the perfect cup of tea. But that's what kept me going. And then when people would come back from their laps and talk on it, and I was like, right, they've just done their lap 7. They've just done their lap 8. I can do this if they can do it.
So you were kind of keeping tabs on the entire 24-hour conversation on the Zoom?
Yeah.
That's a lot of content they had to fill. Carlo and Sean and Kyle. That was a lot of 24 hours is a long time to talk.
Yeah, they were amazing. Like, they put in a hell of a shift as well. Because I was like, oh, maybe they'll like head off one at a time and have like a wee nap or something. But they were there the entire time.
Did you get like sleepy or just the monotony of back and forth ever, you feel like falling asleep?
Yeah, and especially like, because I'm going like from basically my living room to the bedroom, every time I made it to the bedroom, I'm staring at my bed and like, oh, I just so wanted to get in it and just be like, nope, I'm done. That's it. We're good. Bedtime. The temptation was too much.
Yeah, Matt. That's the thing about the real world stuff is mutters. Every time you get to the pit area, you're like, oh, it's warm here. Oh, there's blankets. I could stay. You're dealing with that literally every 17 feet. You gotta avoid the temptation.
Yep.
Wow. Olivia, have you run World's Toughest Mudder in the US yet?
I've not. I really want to.
What do you think about Laughlin 2021?
I really want to go. Like, I'm going to put in a hell of a lot of extra shifts at work and try and get that. I want to go.
So as I was driving this morning, I saw the route that I was running yesterday or 2 days ago now. And I thought, I don't want to see that again for a while. How do you feel about your hallway right now?
Oh, I think me and my hallway are mutually hating each other right now. And like, I don't even want to walk to the kitchen to get food because going up that, I'm like getting the fear walking back down that hallway.
I feel like you've probably seen that hallway more than anyone else alive.
I'm like, I've just moved in, so I've been in this for like 2.5, 3 months now. And I think I've probably seen that hallway more than my mum and dad have seen their hallway in the house they've lived in for 20 years.
You know who I'd love to talk to? I'd love to talk to your neighbors and be like, hey, what about that girl upstairs, huh? Remember that one night, huh?
They're going to be pure hating me. I'm like, I need to send them like chocolates or something for putting up with that.
Well, that was your first World's Toughest Mudder experience. What did you think about the experience, the community?
I loved it. Like, that's what kept me going, honestly. Like, everyone was just, like, nobody really dropped morale during the night. Everyone was there. Like, people, obviously, it's the Tough Mudder spirit as well, but, like, people you've never met, everyone's spurring each other on. They're looking out for each other. They're shouting out about, like, obviously the like pit crew, they're like shouting out these people are back their laps, and getting to see everyone doing their challenges as well. That was great. I loved it.
What was the hardest part of the race for you?
I think it was trying to convince myself to keep going. Like, it's great, like, see when you're like talking to people and you're like, yes, I can do this, but then see when you start and you're walking back and forth and your mileage just isn't going up. Like, it's so demoralizing. I think that was definitely the hardest part for me.
Olivia, I'm remembering when I was doing my back and forth lap, like I would make an effort to not look at my phone to see what my mileage was, because I knew if I looked at my phone, I'd like, what? Why isn't it going up? I've done, 4 laps. It should be half a mile by now. And it seemed to never move. How did you deal with like looking at your mileage and being like, ugh, it's still barely ticking away?
I kept trying to not look at my watch, but like it was so tempting to. But I was like, so my watch, after like 2 laps, my watch kept dying. So I had to, like, every challenge I was charging it so it could go for the next lap. But every now and then it would like buzz 10%, and I knew I had to charge it and pause my lap. So I was like, right, I'm not going to look at the watch until it buzzes 10%. And 2 minutes later, I'd be looking at it.
How long did each lap take you about?
I think most laps were between an hour 30 and an hour 45.
All things considered, that's pretty good for a 5 mile lap, 40, 45 miles into it.
Yeah. It's that way I'm for gutty, because I know I can run 5 miles in like 45 minutes. So I was like trying to calculate what I could have done. And I'm like, don't think about what I could have done. Like, I still managed 50. Like, it's way more than I ever thought I'd have gotten. So
I think for you, I mean, obviously moving 50 miles is a big thing, but I think the mental accomplishment of what you did is more impressive than the physical side of it.
yeah, that's mentally, trying to keep myself amused going up and down the hallway. Like, I was counting how many steps, and then I was counting my laps, and I was singing to myself. Oh, it's so bad.
And I don't want to make light of it, but like, this is what people do in jail, like, to stay sane. Like, they'll like, I got to do something. I got to move around. And, it's, if you're ever like taken prisoner, I think you're already ready for it.
I think I'm like, yeah, I'd be a good prisoner. I'm crazy enough to go to prison.
Well, I don't want you to go to jail, but I'm saying, like, if something happened, I think you could take the other prisoners and be like, hey guys, this is what we can do for at least 24 hours.
I'll lead the fitness class. Right, guys, let's walk wall to wall. Count your paces.
Were you actually running the 8 feet, or were you like kind of just pacing back and forth?
So I was, all through the night, I was walking, so just pacing back and forth, because the running, obviously, I'm pure stomping on the ground, and I knew the ones below me were sleeping.
Sure.
But when it got to about 8 o'clock in the morning, I'd started kind of jogging them a wee bit. But even then, like, it's so hard to get a pace up when you're running, like, 3 steps, and then you're kind of stopping yourself, and then you have to get your pace back up to run another 3 steps, but then you're stopping to turn.
Olivia, it's a remarkable story. I'm very, very excited for you at the kind of the attention. You're kind of the star of the Zoom call all night, huh?
Oh, it was crazy. I was like I'd be like pacing and stuff, and someone would come back from their lap, and they'd be like on the Zoom call, like getting their, like, everyone's like, oh yes, let's go doing our challenge, and they're like, how's Hallway Girl doing? And I'm like, oh my god, no, like, this is crazy.
What do you think of that nickname there, Hallway Girl?
I love it. I'm like, I am that crazy Hallway Girl.
Well, Olivia, I certainly hope we see you at World's Toughest Mudder 2021. How can people follow you on social media?
So I'm on Facebook, just Olivia Patterson.
Olivia, do you have any last thoughts on virtual World's Toughest Mudder or anything else you want to talk about? I
just see everyone else's, like, I'm so amazed with everyone, like, and I just purely love this community so much. Like, never been more proud to be part of Tough Mudder.
Olivia Patterson, thanks much.
Thank you.
Special thanks to Olivia Patterson for joining us today. Congratulations again on 50 miles, Olivia. How many miles did you run at WTM Lockdown? How many will you run in Laughlin 2021? Let me know in a text, 619-485-2726. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or at lovethepodcast.com/tough. I will talk with you soon. Go spend time with someone you love.